Slouser here, and oh boy, it's good to be back. Well, in context, as you can see, if you are a subscriber to my channel, I have a new setup background. It's not ready yet. It's not ready. My lights, you bum, Slouser is not in the back, and the goat, Frog, the Jam isn't in the background yet. That is because I have moved to a new country with my family. If you want to know, Czech Republic. So yeah, from the UK. So it's a big change for me. Big change, but it's exciting at the same time. So yes, it's good to start recording videos, streaming again and all that stuff. I'm glad to be back, and I hope this video isn't too dark. I'm looking right now. I think it's fine. I didn't really know what to film for this Friday. I was actually gonna just leave it empty, no Friday video this week, and then next week, the next replay review, number 3. Quick, let me go into it. If you want your replay to be in the next replay reviews number 3, join the Discord and put your replay or your code into the replay reviews channel. Now, back to this video. Yeah, I didn't really know what topic I was gonna do until, shout out to my boy Milik, legend, gave me this idea. Why not do this for the beginners? Top 10 cards you should own. And this is for the beginners or amateurs, novice players. I'm not really going to say the intermediate to expert levels, especially not experts, or even players who have played for more than a year, because by now you most likely have all these cards, because these are cards I think everyone should own. They might not be viable currently, but they will always be a place for them in a certain format. And we know UR can be hard to get for free to play players, so I don't want you to waste your UR on certain hand traps or cards. Mainly hand traps, I'm going to be honest. That's what these are going to be, since I'm not really going to give you an engine deck card, because then that's for a specific deck. These are pretty much hand traps or board breakers that can be used, maybe not in this format, but it could be definitely down the line. But before I begin, if you are new to my channel and haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel to be up to date with all my Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel content, like this video, all deck profiles and montages, or to be updated when I live stream. Now, with that being said, let's get on with the top 10 cards you should own. Starting with number 1. I'm going to start with this card because it's just the most obvious. As much as we all hate it, well, I'm pretty sure 99% of the player base hate this card. While it's not banned, you have to play it. And if someone says, no, you don't have to play, bro, they're wrong or they're salty. You have to play this card. Yes, there might be a time when you go against stun and it's really useless or, God forbid, flu. But realistically, most of the time, a rogue deck, a top tier deck, even an Exodia deck, Maxi will at least get you a draw, which would basically be an upstart goblin. And that's at worst if it doesn't get stopped. Yeah, you have to play it. I don't really need to explain it even further. It's the most powerful hand trap there is. This card can just win games by itself. Ban this card, but play it until it is. Number 2, Ash Blossom is an amazing card. Everyone should own it. 3, get 3. Don't just get 1 and think that's enough. A set is important. Even at the time of when, well, I mean, Snake Eyes is still now the best deck. Even with Snake Eyes, yes, they can go into Fire Charmer, but this card can either stop Deception, it can stop Ash, Ash can stop Ash or OSS, but another major card it can stop. Number 1, Maxi. This is a Maxi counter, and with Maxi everywhere, yeah, you should be playing it. This card is so versatile. This is more versatile than Maxi. Every card will either add from the deck, special summon from the deck, or just something to do with the deck. Even stun, if they use like Nadir Servant or one of the pot cards. Yeah, this card can be used against every deck and against Maxi. So please, for you newer players or for players who are still collecting hand traps, make sure Maxi and Ash are your first 2 you collect. Now for the remaining, I'm not gonna put them in order. I'm just gonna put them there and just explain why. Number 3, Droll. The reason why I'm saying this is a top 10 card you should own, and I can imagine people saying, oh wait, what? Why would you main Droll? Sometimes Droll is useless in a format. The main reason why I'm saying it is because it's an SR, so it's much easier to obtain. I don't want to just give you UR cards, because look, as I said, like imagine all 10 cards were UR. That just for 1 each would be 300 UR. That's hard to get. It's, again, especially for a free-to-play player. So adding in Droll, it is a powerful hand trap. Right now, it's actually really good because of Fiendsmith and Azamina, and it's SR. So it's much easier to get. That is the main reason why I've put it in the list. But the fact that it's an SR just boosts it up to be in a top 10 list that you should own. When it is a format that there's like the best deck adds a lot, this card is disgustingly good. Sadly, Stun is a top deck right now. Oh man, and I hate it. I used to main deck Droll, but I'm facing more Exogenous Stun than fucking Snake Eyes. And I had to swear, I apologize, but no, I don't apologize. Fuck Exogenous Stun. If there was no like stun meta, because they are one of the meta decks right now, I would main deck Droll. But the fact that stun is a meta deck, it's like if you have Droll against the stun deck, it's not that good. It really isn't. At least it's good against Flu. Number 4, Nibiru. Some people might say, nah, why Nibiru? Why should this be a top 10 card you should own? I don't even main deck this card. Or do I? Maybe in my 60 card deck Rescue Ace, but not in my other decks. And reason being is, I swear every time I have it in my hand, I'm either facing stun or I'm facing a deck that already gets a negate before I can use Nibiru. So frustrating. And then it's just a dead card in my hand. But I do think you should at least only have one. Like, you don't need 2 or 3. 1 is fine. There's potentially, as they say, 8 maxis if your main deck in Pirelli, most likely not. If you have Fuelas and Maxi, that's basically 5. And if your opponent decides to do the Maxi challenge and you draw into a Nibiru, they're pissed. But why am I saying it's in the top 10? Because there will always be a format. If it's not this one, it's the next one. But it is for this one as well, where there will be the meta deck that special summons like crazy. And if your opponent is a Fiendsmith player with, I don't know, it doesn't matter what they're playing, but let's say they start off with their Fiendsmith and they go into Desiree, you can Nibiru them and they can't negate because they can't target it or non-target it on the field because it's not on the field, it's in your hand. So you can get rid of their Omni Negate. And if your opponent, as I said, goes for the Maxi challenge or just gets greedy and overplays and you Nibiru them, which most people don't expect the Nibiru, then yeah, it's devastating. So I would say just get 1. And in the future, if you did get enough UR and you wanted another, then yeah. But I would say 1 is enough. You might not use it this format, you might not use it next format, but maybe 2, 3, 4 formats later, it will be very crucial. Yeah, again, this list isn't about top 10 cards you need to play in your deck. No, these are top 10 cards you should own because they will always be viable at some point in this game. Number 5, Infinite Impermanence. One of the best hand traps in the game because it can't be stopped by called by. It's the best hand trap negate in the game because it can be used on both turns, your turn, your opponent's turn. And if you set it, it can negate an opponent's spell or trap if they put it in the same column. Can be used multiple times in one turn. It's a very good card. I love this card. I just love it when the fact that it can't be cooled by, and when you go against it, the amount of times when you have a cool by in your hand and you're like, oh yes, I'm safe. Throw at me a Maxi on Ash, I'm all good. Normal summon whatever monster, you want the effect, you get impermed, you're pissed, and then you're like, fuck. End phase. Yeah, very solid card. I would get 3. As I said, it's the best negating hand trap in the game, so of course you should have it. I actually think I'm done with the hand traps. Yeah, 5 out of 10. So yeah, if you was expecting Valor or Ghost Bell or Ghost Ogre, no, they aren't a top 10 priority. But let's continue with some monsters. Number 6, SP Little Knight. Probably the best link monster in the game just because of how generic it is. Just 2 effect monsters, and if one of them's from the extra deck, you can banish one of your opponent's cards. Doesn't matter, doesn't need to be face up, doesn't need to be a monster, it can be any card, even in their grave. Crazy. The only drawback is you can't attack directly, but sometimes you don't care. As long as you play it correctly, or if you did it in main phase 2, it's all good. This is a must have. It's too powerful, honestly, and I love it. I do love it. It makes every deck better in extra deck. Again, you don't even need to play links. This could be your only link and it's fine because of the effect. A single card can possibly be 2 interruptions. I would definitely have an SP Little Knight in my back pocket because maybe one deck you're not going to use it, but then your next 3 or 4 will use it. And number 7, Typhon. And wait. And I can hear people say, Typhon, bro, the win rate is shit. Even I call it the surrender card because usually when you summon it, you're going to lose. I swear it's nearly true. Maybe 1 in or 2 in 10 games you win, but majority of the time you will lose. I don't know why. It's so funny. It's like a last resort card, but the reason I'm saying it's a must buy is because it's one of the easiest cards to get out, and it does not matter what its material is. As long as you have one monster on the field, you can go into it. Also, if your opponent has special summon 2 or more times from the extra deck, which majority of the time they do unless they're stunned, but again, we're going to go with the more popular decks. Even rogue decks, they will go into the extra deck more than 2 times. Then this is a free extra deck monster, which is powerful. It can non-target bounce a monster from the field, and any monster with 3k attack or more can't activate their effects. So if they had like a Baron, you can bounce it away. The card isn't amazing. As I said, it's got a poor win rate, but it's just the fact that it's so easy to get out. It's similar to Little Knight, where as long as you have the space, let's say your main extra deck consisted of 12 to 13 cards and you had to spare 2, 3 or 1 spot. Typhon can be that spot because it's a last resort card that, again, it doesn't have the best win rate, but usually in those times where you're gonna summon Typhon, you're already in a bad spot because people will only summon Typhon when it's, again, last resort. So they've used all their cards, they've got nothing else, so they go into him. So even if you didn't have him, or if you didn't summon him, you were probably gonna lose regardless. At least when you have him, it boosts your chance of potentially winning. Yeah, because some games you won't win and people just go into Typhon kind of like a troll or as a last hope. Doesn't always come out, but there will be times when it will. So because of how easy it is to summon, and that is, again, super generic, anyone can go into him, that's why he's in the top 10 must own. Number 8, Called by the Grave, and this is definitely one I would get 2 of, since you can only get 2 of. It helps against hand traps. So if you're going first, if someone tries to Ash or Maxi you can be like, no, get fingered, GG. But what also makes this amazing is it can also be another interruption. If you're going first, your opponent has no hand traps, you set this. If your opponent's playing a deck that uses the graveyard like Telements, whenever they want a fusion, you just finger them and they can't. So yeah, you negate them. Powerful card. It's at 2 for a reason. I wish it was at 3 because of how many hand traps there are, but hey, 2's better than 1, like the TCG. This is definitely one of those more important ones. So after Maxi Ash, you could potentially then go for the cool buys. And speaking of many hand traps, number 9, Triple Tactics Talent. This one might be controversial to some players. They might be like, really? A must own? The reason I'm putting Triple Tactics Talent there is because of what I just said. Every single deck, unless they're playing a shitty stun deck. Again, I have to always bring up the stun deck because they are relevant. The one when they play that spell card where it's like, you can't use any hand traps, but then you draw 2. Unless they're playing that crap, every other deck, which is 99% in the game, will use hand traps. If it is Maxi, Ash, Ghost Spells and Drolls and all them, or Bestials, most likely they will. Some of them will play smart and use their Maxi at draw phase or standby phase, but some will just wait it out and wait for their opponent to special summon so then they can chain. Then you can use your Triple Tactics Talent. Or if you're going second and your opponent has an Appaloosa and an IP and they activate their effects, whatever they have on the field, cool, that's mine now. This is a real powerful counter to Appaloosa, and Appaloosa right now in the meta is a very used, popular card because a lot of decks are using her. And if she has 3 negates, you just need your opponent to use 1 effect, any monster effect, if it's a hand trap or 1 Appaloosa negate, and you can take control. And that's a free material for you. Then you can use her negates to protect you, and then you could use her as a material to go into SP Little Knight. Boom. I've seen so many matches where this just steals the game. Like, it's crazy. Like, imagine your opponent has a Dragoon and it's used this negate. You can take their Dragoon, pop your opponent's monsters, then use that as material. Like, this card can be crazy. Or if your opponent has an Ash, you negate that somehow, or a Maxine, you negate it with like your Ash. Look at your opponent's hand. Imagine they had like a Nibiru. Remove that shit. You know what's in the hand. Play and do all you need. Because of how many hand traps, and as I said, 99% of decks will play hand traps. This means this card is more likely to be able to be used on your turn. Or go in second. Definitely go in second. This will be used. But of course, if they have an Omni negate, it is what it is. But if they don't, you can do some shit. Sadly, if they do have Imperm, again, why Imperm is a must. If they use Imperm, you can't use this. Now, number 10, the last card. Of course, it's Frog the Jam, or Slime Toad in this game. But Frog the Jam. I mean, why wouldn't you own this card? It's a normal card. Anyone can craft it. So craft it. But for you players who want a better card, even though Frog the Jam is the best card, Lightning Storm is the number 10 spot. Now, don't get me wrong. This is not a card where you're playing every deck. Trust me, I don't play it. I don't even believe 50% of the top tier decks play this. Bro, it might not even be 25%. That's how bad it is. Maybe only 10 Pie Dragons play it. But the reason I'm saying it's good to at least own, I was thinking of cards that can be good board breakers, evenly matched, Raigeki, Harpies, and Lightning Storm is basically either Raigeki or a Harpies. Of course, it's got a lot more drawbacks. You can't control any cards on your field, and it only destroys attacking monsters. So if you're facing a Link deck, you're happy. But if they're playing monsters, to be honest, some people forget about this card and that it even exists, and they will go in attack mode. Some play it smart and will go in defense mode, but it's also a Harpies Feather Duster. So you might not even need to destroy your opponent's monsters. Back row, as I said, stun's relevant, and so many decks these days have back row cards. I mean, for example, this could bait out a Fiendsmith Desiree. They would have to negate this, because if you're going to destroy their back row, that would basically stop their Desiree Omni Negate, since they need to be equipped with the link. So at worst, it's the Omni Negate bait. But the reason why I'm saying it's good to own one, let's say you have only 30 UR and there's a format where there's loads of back row, or if it's a special summoning crazy field meta, which, I mean, to be fair, is now, this card could be used in either. You know, if it is a trap heavy or back row heavy format, yes, you could get Harpies. Harpies is better if it comes to just purely destroying back row. But what happens if the next season the back row format is irrelevant and it becomes a special summoning combo format again? Harpies is useless, so you just have it there. Of course, it's a good card, and yeah, when back row becomes relevant again, you can always bring it back. And that's the same with Raigeki. Raigeki will be more viable than Harpies. You know, there will always be monsters on the field, so you can use it pretty much nearly any time. But I'm picking Lightning Storm over them because it can be either, and I like the versatility. You know, you draw this and you see in your hand you're going second, you're like, cool, if my opponent's playing a stun deck or a trap deck, I can use it like a Labyrinth. Or if my opponent's playing like Snake Eyes, and let's say they do get a full board, yeah, this ain't gonna win you the game single-handedly, it's not. But what it can do is, if they have a Desiree, as I said, it gets rid of their Omni Negate. Or if they don't and they have their monsters in attack mode, because they will have some because they do play links, you at least get rid of some of them. So I'm putting this over cards like Raigeki and Harpies purely because it's more versatile. It's always good to own a card like this, because when there will be a format that needs back row removal, or it's like a link format where every card's going to be in attack mode, this could be great for that. Like, imagine you use the Dark Ruler no more and then a Lightning Storm. Oh my gosh, that is a killer. And especially if you're playing cards like Triple Tactics Thrust and you have space in your deck, this could be a card you can search, because again, the versatility. It basically saves you from 2 spots. If you wanted to add in Harpies and Raigeki, you could just use a Lightning Storm to save you a spot for another card. But yeah, I would only own 1. Don't get me wrong, I would not get 2. There you have it. If you stayed until now and watched the whole video, I appreciate it, and I would appreciate it even more if you left a thumbs up. But that's if you liked the video. And as I said in the beginning, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought of my top 10 list, and if you agree or disagree. If you disagreed, let me know in the comments what your top 10 must own cards would be. And until next time, Slauzer is outer.